Good morning and welcome to Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM, your premier talk radio station. My name is Adu. It's a beautiful Wednesday, the 10th of March. This is Everyday Money Matters, and it is brought to you in partnership with Nairametrics. This is the Everyday Money Matters show. Welcome. And of course, in case you didn't know, Nairametrics is Nigeria's leading destination for business, financial, and economic news and information. The content include breaking news, analysis, coverage of capital and money markets, financial literacy, personal finance, and a whole lot more. That's why it's such a good, robust conversation we always have here every time we have the Nairametrics team, of course, the money team here with me in the building. Of course, today is going to be a little special because we have a very rich array of guests today, and I would just be introducing them to you shortly. But let me let you know that this is a show that is highly interactive. Okay, so you can join the conversation by sending us your questions on Twitter at Lagos Talks 913 and on our WhatsApp line at 0809-234-5913. That's 0809-234-5913. So apart from the money team today, we also have a special guest that I'll introduce you to you shortly. But first, let me let you meet the money team today. And I have Lawretta in the building. I have Olumide in the building. Good morning, Lawretta. Good morning, Olumide. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Adu. Yeah, thanks for having me on the program once again this morning. Yeah, you're looking good. I hope you're investing. You're investing in this price correction at the Nigerian stock market. There are so many opportunities right now. Cashing now.
Wow, thank you for that. And Lawretta, good morning, Lawretta. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good, Adu. Good morning. Good morning, Lagos.
All right, good to have you here. And of course, to introduce our special guest, he is the co-founder of Awaba, and he's going to be our guest today, giving us, insight into the things that we're talking about today. And is none other than Mr. Tunji Andrews. Good morning, Tunji. How are you doing today?
Good morning, everybody. Great to be here. Awesome stuff. Hi, Adu.
Good to be here. All right. So let's get into it today. Of course, remember, you can send your questions to us on WhatsApp. That's 0809-234-5913 and 0809-222-0913. But let's get into it today. Of course, so we have some questions that have already been sent in. So I'm just going to read the question out, and I'll just let you all decide how do you like us to delve into them. So the first one here is, what does the CBN Naira-for-dollar policy mean?
Yeah, so I was expecting this as the first question, naturally, because this happened last week. The CBN announced that for a short period between the 8th of March, I think that was on Monday, and the 8th of May, every Nigerian would get extra 5 naira on all dollar remittances. So if I have a friend in the US and he sends me some dollars, on every dollar that is sent to me, I get an additional 5 naira. Now, of course, it sounds pretty interesting because on one hand, they have some specific clauses. For example, things like crypto are not, they have nothing to do here. But then they had specifically said that you have to use one of the registered IMTOs, the International Money Transfer Operators. You have to use one of their IMTOs. So that's kind of a way to ensure that people make that move, So if you have other ways of getting your dollars that would typically cost more, now by using the registered IMTOs, you get to save, you get to get an additional 5 naira per dollar received. And then there's also the issue of okay, are we allowed to speak about devaluation? But we can just say that they are trying to probably fix the FX supply issue we've been witnessing for a few months. And with this, we probably encourage more people to get FX remittances into their bank accounts. I don't know if you guys have something to throw in here.
Okay, let me just add up what Loretta said. In follow-up of what Loretta is saying, the Nigeria Apex Bank has seen such trend in certain countries, particularly Bangladesh. In a report written by Nairametrics, we found out that record amount of citizens from Bangladesh that are based in the Gulf regions. I'm talking of Saudi, Qatar, started sending a lot of funds based on that deal. And remittance level, our remittance rate inflows have dropped to record lows. And the rise of crypto just about a month ago, despite the crypto ban, we have about $31 million transaction, and that's just tell you that Nigerians are still using the crypto P2P for transaction. So I think it's a good move by the CBN. This just like what Lawretta said earlier, it's going to make it easier for them to track those channels. Because when you go through those registers, we'll be able to monitor. And additionally, that our FX supply amid rising oil prices is still at very parabolic levels, as in talking about the volatility that is happening. Recently we can see even the price correction in the stock market based on these metrics. So I think it's a good move by the central bank. It's just I pray that the follow-up and the compliance would go through. Because if that really happens, we can see what happened in Bangladesh. We can see that just in the month of February, there was some upsides in the amount of inflows. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Interesting though, but I just I did a little math now, and it means that for every $100 you receive, you get 500 Naira extra.
Yeah, and then, well, of course, if the money is plenty, if somebody sends you, another way to look at it, if somebody sends you maybe $200,000,
that's where you get 1 million. But if you're accustomed to getting $1,000 and below, it's a really significant bump in what you're getting.
It's probably not as enticing. But then the way some people are looking at it, which is why I was like, I should probably not talk about the valuation now, is that instead of receiving, let's say the official rate is 412, for example, you're now receiving 412 plus 5 Naira on every dollar received. So there are talks about that. But on the upside, you can see that they are trying to also get more people to invest in the Nigerian economy, because why else are you bringing in money? Are you just giving gifts? So if there are ways that it can spur investments, sure. Otherwise, I don't think it's so much of an incentive for people. Somebody just sends you money. How much do you really get out of it? Because on $100,000, that's what's 50,000 Naira. So
hello.
So it's not.
I think I lost you there briefly, Lawretta. I'll just go on to the next question. What apps can I use to buy foreign stocks with very little commission? That's the next question that's coming up here.
Good question, but I think based on the rules here, we don't mention brands, but the narrative is simple. The usual apps that are based in Nigeria offer different levels, but this is the catch. The exchange, most of the time you use your cards and stuff like that. The exchange rate you get is asset sometimes, because these things are priced in the dollar. So at one point you have to exchange your local currencies to the dollar. So the rates differ. So some of them have different rates, but I think the cheapest generally is going through the tokenized system, and that means buying the stocks through the blockchain. Right now we have stocks that you can buy like coin, and so they are tokenized. We call them tokenized stocks. So the advantage they have is that all these clearinghouse fees and the set fees you get so minimized there. So in fact, I buy most of my volatile stocks there. So I think you can go through the tokenized system. And if you're a very sophisticated investor, you are somebody that have a lot of pool of money, you can go through the institutional investors like Barclays, HSBC. They have what we call black panels for high net worth individuals that have net worth of over $500,000. So what they do is that you go through their investment and brokerage. So they give you at a very lower charges than the prevailing. So it all depends on your age, your assets, and your the kind of things you want to buy. So that basically, but for retail investors, the usual trending apps will offer you. That's your best bet, or you go through the nice stock channel. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on to another question here. This is coming in from another listener. Says, hello, money team. With the recently passed stimulus package by the US House, is it fair to say there'll be another rise in major financial assets?
Yeah, I think the question is, I think the question is not pretty late, because before being passed already, you could see some assets already tripping at a record high. For example, before the passage of the stimulus bill, Bitcoin was moving at about $43,000, and just hours ago that it got passed, it raised about 20%. And also, if you look at other assets, including crude oil, it's already moving at such level. So yes, when you have $1.9 trillion going through a global financial system, it will be good to have an effect already, and we can already see that already in stocks. Tesla, for example, yesterday just printed gains of 20%, and that tells you that investors are already becoming more aggressive on riskier assets, based on the fact that we have a more evolutionary move at unprecedented level. So I think what the listener needs to understand is that, yeah, assets will really trickle up, but at one point there'll be a bubble, and we hope the bubble won't catch you guys unaware, because nothing that goes up will surely come down. The time that will come down that we don't really know. So, like, you can see some assets like gold, for example. Gold that usually thrives doing this kind of moves. Gold has dropped as low as 8,650 before it bounced back 1,700. It lost about $150 in a couple of weeks. That is very shocking. So, as much as the fact that certain investments are creeping up, the narrative is that we should be very careful in part of the quantitative easing programs. Thank you.
All right, Olumide, thank you. Even though at some point I wasn't really hearing you clearly, so maybe you might just help just tweak your mic a little bit. This question here is going to Tunji. Tunji Andrews, I think you just share with us from your wealth of experience, because I know you're into stuff like this in terms of business and getting people in personal finance and all of that. This one is asking about starting a logistic business. So the question is it advisable to start a logistic business in Lagos? That's the caveat, with one bike.
All right, so the general thought you want to look about is Lagos has a higher volume. You will have more traffic within the Lagos metropolis in terms of, I expect that you're saying logistics in terms of delivering for people, delivering from one place to another. So you will have more customers. The likelihood that you have more customers in Lagos is higher. But also Lagos comes with a lot. Lagos comes with a lot of regulation. There is the state regulation, there is the local government regulation, then there is the NURTW regulation, which is very heavy in Lagos State. So you also have to also think about the fact that you will be on your toes most of the time, trying to either get your bike out of one issue or the other, and you will have a lot more stress. But of course, the money is more here. But I'll say another thing. There is a few companies who have just gone to places like Ibadan, Ado-Ekiti, and just, they might not be making as much as, they would be making if they were in Lagos, but they're making significant profits without much trouble. So if you can do it somewhere else, a major city like Ibadan, for instance, I would advise you go there. But if you are one of those people who like Wahala, Lagos is for you.
Can I quickly add to that?
Yeah.
I think there are different things to consider. So what he's asking, can he start with just one bike? Just like any other business, there are ways to start small. For example, if you want to augment all the other challenges that come with, going long distances in Lagos, having only one bike, first off, your addressable market should be much smaller. So if you are saying, with this my one bike, I'm going to offer fast delivery for only people within Lekki Phase 1 axis, it sounds like a very small market, but then that kind of gives you a direct access to who your target audience is. And if every day you wake up and then you say, I'm going to deliver this things to this 10 people, it's this 10 people within a controlled space, and you keep growing from there. So you can now start expanding the market by expanding, by increasing the number of riders and all of that. But the idea is on whatever asset you have gotten. In this case, let's say it's a logistics bike. The idea is how many of those trips are you going to make to be able to break even or get back your cost. So yes, you can start, but you are starting at a really small scale. So keep the market small. I don't offer too much, so you can still wiggle your way out of things.
I like what Tunji said there about if you like wahala.
Oh yeah. And
that's the peculiarity of Lagos. In case you're just joining us, this is Everyday Money Matters, brought to you in partnership with Nairametrics, and you're listening to Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. And perhaps you are loving the conversation and you're wondering, wow, can I listen to this again? Yes, you can. Head over to YouTube and look for Nairametrics on YouTube, or just go simply to nairametrics.com. And you can see all of the shows that we've had prior to this point in time, and you can watch the videos over and over and over again. Now, if you are a savvy investor and you want to know where the market is going, you just need someone to point you. Olumide has a stock select newsletter that he shows you his stock picks, and it's released periodically, and you can subscribe to it. So you don't have to struggle and crack your brain with knowing where to go in the stock market. So just simply subscribe by going to ssn.nairametrics.com, and you'll be getting the newsletter showing you how to, where to, what to, and etc. etc. So it's ssn.nairametrics.com, and you'll get that information there. Again, the YouTube is Nairametrics on YouTube, and of course the website is nairametrics.com. So let me get back into the question, and Tunji, I think you might also help us with this one. This person's name is Larry, and it says, good morning, please advise me on the better between the two options of mutual funds and treasury bills now in terms of ROI. That's what this person is asking.
Hi, so the thing is, at this particular point, the treasury bill entry, I think this treasury bill is always a conversation we have on this show. So treasury bills have not been doing too, in fact, all government securities have not been doing too well of recent. I think it was some CBN policy to try and, push the money into proper business activities into the market. But then there is the conversation that it is going back up now. So if you want to wait a bit, I think it's because I think we're seeing the market, the later angle of the debt market going to about 11%. So we might see double digits return in that space. But mutual funds, so mutual funds is a name that houses a lot of things. You get, so there are mutual funds and there are mutual funds is what I'm trying to say. You can go to several companies and you can find different kinds of mutual funds. So what you want to do is you want to find the history of the company you're trying to put the mutual fund with. Some do very good percentage. Everybody's selling mutual funds in the market basically, but some do good ROI, some don't do historically good ROI. So you want to find the one that works for you and go along with them. But I think right now, I would advise that you go more with the mutual funds than with the treasury bills, because at this particular point, it's not, the amount you're putting in for what you're getting out is not really as great as it used to be.
Thank you, Tunji.
Okay, I'd like to add up on that a bit. Just like you said, the returns on the mutual funds is kind of more impressive than what you have in the treasury bills. But I think what listeners need to understand is that your objective is also very clear. The money market generally has a lower yield, but much safer option, and that's why investors still key, in spite of the fact that the returns are, when you turn it to real rates, when you adjust it to inflation, it's still negative. But it's about the safety. But if you're a risk taker, for example, then the mutual funds are much more key for you. And don't forget that the difference between the mutual fund and treasury bills is that the mutual fund the performance is dependent on the fund manager. So if you have a very high at picking mutual funds, then they are good. Some has given returns about 24, 25. Nairametrics usually track that. If you're consistent with that Nairametrics, you know the mutual funds that you should key into. You understand? So that's not a no-brainer. But like you said, mutual funds are not often consistent. The performance all depends on the fund manager. So while you get a consistent return on treasury bills, the returns on, so it depends on your risk appetite, your portfolio size, your age, and like I said, the level of knowledge you have on investments. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that addition there. You want to say something, Lawretta?
Yeah, I just want to add something quick to that. The difference, I would say the difference is that mutual funds give you an option. So treasury bills, you get what you get. There's a fixed rate depending on what is going on in the market. But with mutual funds, you can say that I want to increase my, I want my objective of getting a mutual fund right now is to increase ROI, get interest that's higher than inflation, and then your job is now to find the specific funds from the specific manager that will give you that. So there are different kinds of mutual funds. So I think with mutual fund, you have an option to decide what your outcomes can be. And then with treasury bills, you just have to wait on the market. Yeah.
All right. I think we can still sneak in one or two more questions before we begin to coast home. This one says, good morning, Olumide. When investing within the cryptocurrency space, which of these two would you see as having more potentials, coins or tokens?
Nice one, but I think they're basically the same. It just depends on the narrative you are using there, because sometimes we often interchange digital token with coins. These are derivatives of assets that are derived from priced conditions. So, for example, I'm trying to look for the right word. Sometimes we call Bitcoin a digital currency. At the same time, sometimes we call it crypto. It's all the same token. It's all the same narrative. But I think what it's really trying to look at is the assets that have better returns. And like I said, cryptos are just like any other financial assets. They have the same underlying fundamentals, liquidity, the demand and supply. You look at performance over the years, the people backing it. So these are things that drive. So whether you are investing in an XRP or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano, what you all need to know is what price is it trading, what is driving this thing with assets, what is the liquidity and all these things. So when you factor all these things, then you have a better understanding. And if you really don't really understand all these things, like I said, come to the Nairametrics website. Most of our listeners, most of our readers on Nairametrics right now, they understand the difference between all these things, because this is something that over the years we've been writing about. So you just need a constant understanding. It's just the same. Just like asking me what's different between a coin and a paper note. You understand? These are the same. Although one is paper, one is metal, but in the form of they are both virtual, so they are all the same. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Olumide, for that. So if you are tuning in, I'm sure you noticed that we have a guest with us today, Tunji Andrews, and he's co-founder of Awaba, Nigeria. Tunji, before we go, would you be kind enough to just tell us about your company and what you guys do?
All right, so we're basically a company that is trying to push financial inclusion to the last mile in Nigeria, and our basic product is micro pensions. We sell micro pensions to people in the informal space. So if you are not working in a proper 9-to-5, you are an entrepreneur, you do your own job, you are a techie, you work in a very small business, and you are also thinking about retirement. It's important that you start planning early, and we try to do that. So you see, the problem with the average Nigerian is that we don't think about retirement. Young people are going to get old. Old people never think they are going to get older. We all just believe we're going to be forever young. And also, we also believe that one day we're just going to be rich. We're all just going to be richer. And there's no real plan towards that point where we're all going to be rich. What we try to do is we try to point people in the direction that you can have a very active retirement. You can have the kind of retirement you want, and you can start planning towards it. It's backed by the micro pension system in Nigeria is instituted by PENCOM. It's the same returns you get with your other pension systems. It's just that this is specifically created for people in the informal space. So you could just, it's a very simple thing. You don't need to pay anything to join. You just register, you get your PENCOM ID free of charge, and you decide how much you contribute. You can contribute daily, weekly, monthly. If you contribute 1,000 per month, it's up to you. If you contribute 100,000 Naira per month, it's up to you. And you can withdraw up to 40% of your savings after the first 3 months. So it's really a system where the regulator has created a system that makes it easy for people in the informal sector to start planning for their retirement, like all you other guys in the proper 9-to-5s.
So you're talking about people who maybe are artisans, who are, maybe tailors who are in the fashion industry.
Yeah, so people like that, mechanics, but we started with people like that, but we've come to also quickly realize that there are a lot of people who have been doing, who are contractors, for instance, who are analysts, who've never worked with any company, who just go from gig to gig, producers, musicians, all those people who earn decent incomes, but don't have a pension plan. They just hope that one day they'll be able to make enough money to be able to retire, but they're just, working from job to job. We realize that there are a lot of people like that. And we're also reaching out to those people and saying, you can start planning. This pension plan is for you. Because you don't work in a proper 9-to-5, this system is open to you to be able to start planning for your retirement with as much as you want or as little as you want.
Wow, that's a very genius idea, because, if you look at it, a lot of people in that particular sector, like you said, don't really have, because maybe they're not in a structured environment, don't really have that kind of structure. So how do people get to know about Awaba? Do they just go to Google, or?
Yes, you could go to Google, but you could just get our website is www.awabang.com, and you basically get all the details there. We're also on social media, Twitter and Instagram, Awaba Nigeria. Awaba means our money. It's pidgin English, so for people who think it's a Ghanaian word, it means Awaba. It's our money. So it's AWABAH.
They're calling it like an English word, Awaba.
I know. I saw that, I saw that. It's Awaba. It's our money.
Now our money.
Our money, exactly. Our money. So that is the name. So you could go to our website at www.awaba.ng.com, or you could just go to Twitter or Instagram, which is Awaba Nigeria, on Twitter and Instagram, and all the information is there. We also have a 24/7 WhatsApp channel where you can always talk to us.
Okay.
Just always reach out to us 24/7. The person is always there to respond to all your issues. But once you go to our Instagram or Facebook, Twitter channels, or even Facebook, you'll be able to get the number to be able to call.
All right. Thank you, Tunji, for sharing with us. Really appreciate how you guys, okay? And I'll make it a plenty. All right. Until we see you next week, do have a very lovely rest of the day. Thank you once again, Money Team, for joining us. And remember to go to nairametrics.com to get all you want in the world of finance and financial literacy. Well, coming up next.